Hey there, how you doing? This is Loki and King from the from what? Wait, damn it, brain! Why do you hate me? Anyway,
Council of Jesters?
the Council of Jesters, and today we're gonna be talking. It's gonna be a shorter video, but we're gonna be talking about storytelling and whatnot.
Indeed.
Yes, Jari will not be with us because Jari is doing stuff. So you can, and these are just going to be the basics for storytelling and stuff like that. So have fun watching us discuss random bullshit. Yes, it has been 15 seconds into the video, so I can say the cuss words.
I feel like you have a timer on hand.
Oh, yeah, I do. Anyway, in some stories you could, I will say this, I am currently writing a story. You have seen it, King, called Hitch.
Mm-hmm.
And it's formatted as an exploration style like video or movie book story. Dang, my brain is going burr.
You want to try that again?
It is an exploration like story where a non-humanoid insectoid, I call it an insector, is exploring on a spaceship or getting ready to get into the spaceship known as the Beowulf or something similar to that. And it's still in the early stages, but yeah.
Yes. I was giving it a look over. I didn't read much besides the first two paragraphs after the first chapter.
And for me, storytelling is just a way to have fun with words. And that's what you should aim for storytelling. Like, have fun with the words. In my opinion, but there are people that have different opinions, like King or other people. King, what are your ideas for storytelling?
Yeah, one of my biggest ones is that you shouldn't let yourself get brought down or discouraged about a story that you're really passionate about.
Oh, yeah.
When it comes to talking it with other people or their opinions, because like assholes, everyone's got one.
Oh, yeah, that's true. I will say this. I am the biggest asshole whenever needed, but I'm a friendly one.
But it also doesn't mean you should just turn away when it comes to criticism altogether, because there is constructive criticism. Since one of the biggest, like, I think, techniques in writing, and when you get something from like an editor or someone that you're looking for to help, and you give them the you know sandwich where it's bad, good, bad, or good, bad, good, depending on how you layer it.
Yes, and there are some people, and I'm not going to name whoever wrote the book, but Empress Teresa is a bad story because the way it was paced and the whole weird storytelling process of it.
Yeah, there's different ways that books can make it where we don't like them. I remember reading one book. I can't remember the title of it off the top of my head, but what made me really bounce off of it was that it couldn't pick a tone. That really confused me.
For me, the one that I actually got a good sunk my teeth into was Seven Blades in Black. It's like a magic. It's a magic story. However, the main character has a big grenade launcher on her hip called the Cacophony, and I made that into a magic item in D&D. So have fun with that thought, but I added an extra chamber.
But yeah, so there's simple things that can completely drive people away from your story.
Oh, yeah.
That may be easily overlooked, like I was talking about with tone. Because of the book I was talking about, it went from the first chapter, like kind of like having a YouTube-esque thing talking about a landmark.
Mm-hmm.
And then that was the whole first chapter, was that kind of thing. And then the second chapter cut to the perspective of the character that was going to be the main character of the book.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a very comedic, almost kind of like not quite slapstick setup, but then it cut perspectives again to a whole different thing, go about people wanting to buy some land somewhere. And I'm like, how is this connected? What is going on?
It's just a position, correct? It's like
not even really a juxtaposition, because juxtaposition is when you link it together, there is overlap.
Mm-hmm. Oh, the tonal whiplash.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, there you go. And you gotta have to keep. You're gonna need to keep the tonal whiplash to a minimum or non-existent, in my opinion.
Yeah. Here we go. Juxtaposition is the fact of two things being seen or placed close together with constraining effect, or
Okay.
Contrasting effect. Sorry, contrasting effect.
Oh yeah, we're both mentally ill, so don't worry about that, folks. We can get our words wrong.
So yeah, that was not really a juxtaposition. It was just the transition was really poor, and like I, without it being in the same book, I wouldn't even know how these things would be related. It'd be kind of like if you were in a building and you opened a door, and that door led you into like a room full of like home decor, and then you went to the next door and it was like actively being used as like a trampoline jump place. And then you went into the next door, and in that door there was like an apartment.
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay.
You're like, well, what is the purpose of this building? How are any of these things related to each other? Why are they next to each other? What's going on?
That makes sense, yeah. And going back to Seven Blades and Back, it's a really good small. It's like a 3-book series, so I haven't finished it. So there you go. However, the tone of it does do a tonal thing, but it doesn't do it like how the book you were talking about does it. It's basically, okay, this is what happened. The person's it's like telling you a story within a story. Basically, the first chapter is a character being interrogated, like setting up the interrogation scene. And you feel like, oh, okay, this is you're in the head of the interrogator, and then when you get to the next chapter, or the next couple of chapters, depending on how the chapter count works, you get to hear what the person sees, and the other person in the interrogation room, being the interrogatee, is saying and what they heard.
I think you're confused on what tonal shift is. That's a perception switch.
Okay, yeah. I am a baby DM and writer, so yeah. Sad. But
tone is the atmosphere of the book. So like horror, the tone of it when you have it is that building of atmosphere, the kind of buildup of what's going on, talking about the situation, and you getting engrossed into it. Or in comedy, how the tone is lighthearted. Things are going to be jokes and stuff, no matter how severe or crazy the story may go and how worried you are for the characters. The tone typically always lands back on positive.
Okay. For me, like I said, I'm like not that deep into it, but another book I have read that you might be considered horror is Jurassic Park Lost World. The book version. Not like based off the movie, no, not that one. The original book version. And it kept you guessing throughout the whole ordeal. Like, okay, what's Oxen gonna do now? Oh shit, there's a T-Rex. But it had a tone that's like, oh yeah, these things are wonderful to see. However, they can kill you, and yeah, you don't want to get killed by them. No, anything but that. And the Velociraptors are, I think, as smart or equally as smart as humans in those books. So yeah, it, it it's not fun when you're dealing with Velociraptors that can open doors, but you can do a compare and contrast with this whole story in the movie. But I'm not going to do that. But there are a few other stories that I have been dabbling into, light novels and stuff, where you could see where a person with non-English speaking abilities have taken their time and make their story great. That's another thing. You got to take your time to make the story great. That's my opinion, though.
I think it's one of those things where some people rush to finish something once they want to get it done, and then once it's done, they don't look at it again.
Sure,
but I think taking your time, properly reviewing through it, and then kind of going through it once more after you have your rough draft and go, okay, where was I going with this? What was the purpose of this? And where did I want to go?
Yeah. Then there are a few things where you're like, okay, I got to this. How do I get to A to B? Okay. Or A to C. And then there's no good way to get to B. So how do I write that something? And that's also a puzzle that you have to figure out. That's my opinion.
And this is much more of a solo storytelling with basically kind of having a conversation with yourself, going through the rules or logic of your own world / setup that you're using for your book. When you're trying to move it into the world of TTRPG, storytelling becomes a lot more complicated because it's no longer a singular conversation. You're no longer sitting in a
opinion, because you're getting feedback real time and you can adjust your story as your players go on in TTRPGs. But that's my opinion.
Not a lot of writers like having to adjust stories for unplanned criteria or stimuli. That's why writing for TTRPG can be a lot harder, because you don't know how your story is going to go. You could have something planned and a highlighted and objectified route of what you want to happen, but of that happening is not very likely once it gets into contact with players. That's why you have such a very interesting discussion about being a game runner in the TTR sphere. That's where you get things such as Railroad, which means that you are not allowing your players choice. They are forced to go where you want them to go so that the story can function.
Yeah.
You give the illusion of choice, where you basically set it up where there are options, but those options really don't matter. They all end up going to where you want them to go anyway. Which, depending on what you're doing, can and cannot be okay, just depending on what the overall goal is. And if you're just using it as a small thing to walk it through something, then actually let their choices matter. It's one of those big things that kind of is seen more of a gray area, but is also kind of a bad thing.
Oh yeah. There's usually a gray and there is a black and white, and there's usually a gray in between, depending on how far you want to lean into the gray or the black or the white. But in my opinion, I just roll with the punches. I'm that type of DM that runs with the punches. Like, oh, you want to kick the guys in the nards? You can kick them in the nards. Okay? How would they do double damage to you? But that's basic consequences for the actions. But have you heard of Full Metal Alchemist, King?
Yes.
The author of, or the writer for Full Metal Alchemist wrote in her, I don't know where she wrote this, but she said that when she was writing for Full Metal Alchemist, she imagined the characters actually talking to her. And saying, "Oh no, I won't do that," and because she knows her characters. That's another thing you should do. And when you're writing a story, you gotta know your characters, know them inside and out, their likes and dislikes. Ask yourself, how do I make them do this? Okay, I know my character, and there you go. And that doubles as a DM or a GM for some games in TTRPGs. For example, my last Sunday night game, they were fighting a flesh golem that was made from one of my players' ex lovers or friends that passed on in their backstory. So, yeah, that was fun for them, and I did interpret it very well, and they enjoyed it. And one of my players' characters were very emotionally dumb, so I'm going to slash it. But yeah, you gotta tread carefully when giving player characters or characters trauma, because they're gonna use that against you, I think.
Very true.
Or you can use it against them. But that's going into player versus DM territory, and I don't like doing that.
Bad.
Yeah, it's very
No,
bad.
bad.
It is very bad. Like, bad. Ah, my face.
But it's very important as a game writer for you to involve all your players when you're writing.
Oh, yeah.
I know some people get lost in the art of writing and they want to make a full epic style story where there are dips, dives, turns, and twists.
Mm-hmm.
And that's fine. But you should always leave. There's always room that should be left for exposure to what I dub as chaos. Your players are chaos. You will never be able to fully expect what they're going to do, how they're going to interact with things. And you need to be able to react to that.
Yeah, give them enough.
And I think that's very important, and you should adapt to that as a player and as a writer.
Yeah.
And then bigger thing is you should let them have investments into your. So beforehand, if you're having a dedicated group, you should talk to them about the character that they plan to run and try to your best to incorporate them into the story you're writing. That way they feel much more involved and invested in what you're doing. Yeah, your character is from a guild. I'm going to have this guild be represented throughout this thing. They're going to be here and here, and I'll bring them up every now and then. And depending on what the villain is, maybe have them antagonize the guild. Maybe they have them attack some of the branches of the guild. This will definitely bring more interesting reaction from the player because they'll be seen as this place they have investment with and ties to being threatened.
Yeah. Sorry, there was a barking going on in the background. I had to mute myself for a second there. But yeah, there are a few things that you could do as a DM and GM, whatever, to make sure that your players are fun. For example, my homebrew world, I left enough room for anyone to play around in. That's in my opinion, and I think you've seen it.
As for me, I have some stories that are very well detailed, very well filled up, but the ways that I have written the narratives of them, the objects don't really need to be tackled in a specific way.
Yeah.
To give a really good example, Shadows of the Beast, the game that you played.
Oh yeah.
When
we had to free I believe the head priest of each god, correct?
A little later. The first mission you were given was to go find the missing prince.
Yeah, that was fun.
That was the goal. But how you approached it was completely up to you. Would you just go straight there? Did you go get information? Did you go do whatever? And that really helps set up how you were going to tackle that mission. And once you got there, you had to find him. How did you find him? What did you find while there? And how did you get him?
Yeah.
And then became the political intrigue as you got to the other city, learned that the political figures there, the priests of the large churches, were being controlled, and how to best go and handle that situation.
That is true. That is true. But yeah, when you're in a group storytelling setting, you have to leave enough wiggle room for chaos and for players to say, "Hey, I'm going to do this," or "I'm going to seduce the dragon." It might be a meme by now, but still, there are some players that will try to do that. I have no doubts about that. And you could let them seduce the dragon, and they could have a big dragon mommy, or they could put it in a jar. If you know what I mean, you know what I mean. Yeah, this channel isn't meant for kids.
I don't think you ever said it was.
That is so true. But yeah, we have covered that, and I do have some book recommendations for the end of this one. Seven Blades in Black, the light novel version of That Time Was Reincarnated as a Slime. I want to say Lost World, and if you want to have some research material, because writing is equivalent to research, the Great Big Book of Yokai is a good research helper. So there you go. Can you have any books to recommend?
Yeah, a series that I read recently that I thought was very fun, that was pretty laid back and chill, was called Heretical Fishing. I would definitely recommend that to anyone who wants kind of basically a slice of life story with some isekai elements. It's a good read, a good time, pretty funny.
Okay.
Another series that I really liked, that was unique in the way that it approached how it engaged with the reader. I can't remember the title of the trilogy, but the first one is called Amulet Shimshgard, and the second one's called Golem's Eye. And I think it's called the Bartimus trilogy, named for the demon that's in it. It's the demon's perspective, because it switches between the magician's perspective and the demon's perspective.
Oh.
It has a thing where there's footnotes. And on the footnote is the demon talking to the reader about what's been footnoted.
Ah, okay. Okay.
So it's actually really interesting, very unique.
Very unique. Oh no. Oh my. But yeah, with that all said and done, we have been the two council members that decided to make this video. And well, I asked you, but thank you for watching. And 2 uploads this week? Oh my. But thank you for watching, and please give us a like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Get us into the algorithm so our longer form content will have a chance in the algorithm. But if you don't have, all I ask for you guys is just give us a like. So thank you for watching, and see you later.